This is Southern Cross News with Rachel Williams.
Good evening, everyone. Hydro Tasmania says it solved the mystery of what caused the Basslink failure, launching criticisms of the way the cable was operated. Hydro claims the interconnector heated and cooled under operational stress, causing critical degradation. But Basslink is standing by the outcome of its own investigation, which described it as an unforeseen accident.
Tasmania's crucial link to the national energy market was cut off by this mysterious break in December 2015. Its owners BPL ran an investigation but ruled it cause unknown, force majeure.
We did not agree that it was a force majeure outcome. The investigation report delivered today vindicates the government's position and outlines the reasons for the failure.
Hydro today claiming the cable operated outside its design limits, with overheating and cooling resulting in degradation. It found the probable cause of the failure was electrical energy discharge, when the direction of electricity was flipped and the cable cooled.
The expert investigation identifies the probable cause of the cable failure, but most importantly, it also identifies interim and long-term solutions to ensure that Basslink can operate as reliably as it is supposed to do in the future.
Recommendations now to increase the rest time when flipping the cable's direction and bringing its capacity down from 630 megawatts to 500. That measure likely to impact Hydro's exports on top of the $140 million spent responding to the outage.
The first thing is to ensure that the cable can be operated successfully. And then after we've been through those discussions, then we'll move to, well, what does this mean commercially between the parties?
Energy analysts say this commercial fallout could mean lengthy legal battles.
Both parties will have their independent experts and there'll be lawyers at 20 paces, and we'd expect the legal process alone could take a minimum of 2 years.
In a statement, BPL says it's reviewing the report but maintains the event was a force majeure. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
The Australian Medical Association has come out in support of Labor's policy to remove pokies from pubs and clubs, labelling it as bold and courageous. The AMA says pokey addiction stimulates a similar neurological response to cocaine and nicotine.
The AMA not shying away from sharing the harmful health impacts of pokey addiction.
We see gambling addiction as a behavioural addiction, which are very similar to addiction to things like methamphetamine and cocaine.
The state's peak medical body announcing its position on pokies today, a move welcomed by Labor.
Governments have a responsibility to protect people from harm. It's why we have minimum alcohol levels for driving. It's why we have seatbelts. It's why we do a number of our legislative reforms. Our job is to create as safe a society as we can, and we cannot allow pokies to continue knowing the harm that they do.
But the Liberal Party is sticking to its policy of keeping pokies in pubs and clubs, despite the AMA's position.
What we think as a government is Tasmanians have the right to spend their money how they wish.
Launceston's Cock and Bull, one of just many licensed establishments to share concerns about staff hours and job security.
My staff have families. I have a family. It means significant loss in trading hours for us, anywhere between probably a minimum of 25 but upwards of 40, which would mean anywhere between a loss of 40 to 65 labour hours as well. I would see a significant loss in our food and beverage trade as well.
Labor rejecting claims its policy could make Tasmania a nanny state.
People used the phrase nanny state when we decided that you couldn't drink and drive. Now nobody believes that you would do anything different. People use this phrase nanny state when we introduced seatbelt laws. Nobody now thinks you can get into a car without putting on a seatbelt.
Jessica Moran, Southern Cross News.
A 44-year-old man has been charged with arson following a fire that allegedly destroyed a unit in Joseph Street, Rokeby last month. The man was bailed and will appear before the Hobart Magistrates Court in January. Meanwhile, detectives are still continuing to investigate a series of other unit fires in the complex, with Mission Australia also offering a $10,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. Anyone who can assist is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Tasmania Police is appealing to the public for information concerning the welfare of a Latrobe man. 43-year-old Jeffrey Campbell Bates was last seen on Monday afternoon near Shearwater. Anyone with information is asked to contact Devonport Police or Crime Stoppers. Tasmania Police has begun a statewide crackdown on shoplifting during the Christmas period. A specialised Operation Saturate team out in force today to deter prolific offenders.
On the beat in an effort to crack down on stealing following an increase in the crime this festive season.
So we're here to target high volume shoplifting offenders and in order to curb their behaviour.
The Operation Saturate campaign focusing on shoplifting and burglaries, crimes which heavily burden shop owners, costing Australian businesses millions of dollars a year. Police say many offenders are already on bail and often responsible for 50 to 100 offences each.
We've certainly identified that there is a small volume of people that are responsible for the majority of crime, and as those known offenders that we are targeting during this operation. Drugs and shoplifting identified as going hand in hand, sniffer dogs playing a key role in this crime crackdown. We are certainly finding cannabis and other illicit drugs on person and also drug paraphernalia.
Tasmania Police says shopping centres such as this one become a target for offenders over the Christmas period. They say items such as clothing, children's toys and meat products are stolen and then on-sold or given as Christmas gifts.
We'll be looking to bring the offenders to justice by restricting their movements, by not allowing them to come back to the centre or detaining them where possible.
Shop owners advised to keep staff numbers high and have counters close to the entrance of stores. Anyone who witnesses suspicious behaviour should contact Crime Stoppers. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
A new Tasmanian gas supply deal for next year is still yet to be agreed on, with Hydro Tasmania and the owners of the Tasmanian gas pipeline still in an ongoing dispute. A formal arbitration process to resolve the matter began last month. Hydro says the arbitrator can put in place interim pay deal arrangements, although they can't be discussed publicly.
But we have been in contact and had negotiations and dialogue with the wholesale customers in Tasmania, and I think I can report that they're all confident that they'll have secure supply beyond the end of this year.
For years, Richmond in the state's south has been known for its heritage, but now a new action plan for the whole Coal River Valley aims to draw more visitors to the region. The Clarence City Council has provided $40,000 to the project to help the area become the jewel of the south.
Each day, almost 300 visitors roam around the Coal River Farm. The site has only been open for 2 years, but already its popularity is rapidly rising.
We've seen massive development within the Coal River region, which has been fantastic to see over the last few years. But what we have, as part of that growth, not done all that well is collectively worked on our collective brand.
The new Destination Action Plan launched today aims to change that.
Up until now, most people understand that Richmond in itself is a destination and the Coal River Valley is as well. But it's not at the forefront of people's minds when they think about coming to Tasmania.
The region is known for its heritage, wine and produce.
At the moment, this is predominantly a day trip destination. So if we can actually encourage our industry to work together even more than they are doing now and highlight to visitors the depth of product, we will get that overnight stays, and that is what we're really working towards.
Improving signage to the valley and infrastructure throughout the region is also part of the action plan. The road to Richmond is currently being upgraded and a future Cambridge bypass is being discussed.
We're also looking at the opportunity of a multi-user pathway from Cambridge through to Richmond, which will connect the cellar doors and the businesses along the route.
What it means is we can develop our brand and really bring the Coal River region as the jewel, the crown of Tasmania, as it rightly should be.
Monika Dadson, Southern Cross News.
Weekly monitoring has now begun at Lake Trevellyn to protect water sport enthusiasts from the harmful presence of blue-green algae. Algae was last detected at a high level in the lake in 2007, and since then monitoring has been conducted frequently.
When people come in contact with the algae, it will cause skin conditions and earaches and tummy upsets and all that sorts of thing.
The dam is a popular spot for locals over the summer months. Two people have avoided serious injuries after their car collided with a pole last night. Emergency services were called to the incident on Westbury Road, Prospect, shortly after 9:30. Police say 3 vehicles were initially involved, and it's believed oil on the road combined with rain caused the crash. 2 people in a Ford Ranger were taken to the Launceston General Hospital as a precaution. No one was seriously injured. 2 women have committed to running from one side of the state to the other in a bid to raise awareness of mental health challenges faced by emergency service workers. Run for Crumpy is in memory of an intensive care paramedic who took his own life last year.
They've travelled on foot 7 days straight from Burnie to Kingston, all for a dear friend, Damien Crump.
Crumpy was a well-known paramedic in Hobart, a really good mentor for our paramedic students, and he unfortunately took his own life at this time last year.
The pair decided to take on the 380-kilometre run in his memory and hope to raise funds for the state's ambulance service.
Just raising that awareness for the paramedics, that they do it pretty tough on the job, and sometimes they have their own issues as well that they've got to take with them.
The tough terrain spans from Burnie Ambulance Station through to the station in Kingston, but despite the challenges, spirits remain high.
It's been heaps of fun. We've been motivating one another along the way with
a bit of humour,
dancing, singing. But no, it's been fun. Mentally we're fine, but physically our bodies it's taking its toll. But we'll get there.
Paramedics are among the emergency frontline workers exposed to some of the highest suicide rates in the country. And those in the industry say there's been an increase in the number of deaths recorded over the past few years. The duo are expected to arrive at Kingston on Saturday. If you would like to support Run for Crumpy, you can visit the My Cause page. Rita Risk, Southern Cross News.
And if you or anyone you know is in need of assistance, you can contact Lifeline on 13 11 14. Mona has today unveiled a new music program to keep Tasmanians and visitors entertained over the next 42 days. The Mona Music Marathon will see over 50 local and international performances take to the stage, creating a welcome start to the summer festival season.
In true Mona fashion, it's nothing ordinary.
42-day marathon commences.
Co-curator Brian Ritchie kicking off the summer season jam, a month and a half of afternoon musical performances.
A lot of the concerts will be happening on the outdoor stage. Some will be happening inside the museum here. So it's a magnet on its own, but it's also here to just give a surprise thing to the visitors.
Today's Act in the Void, a blend of instruments and performers from home and abroad.
I've been jamming with lots of local musicians here, and I'm getting a lot of encouragement from them.
Who would have ever thought that anything like this would happen in Hobart? So I'm always delighted to be here.
Half the acts are Tasmanian, something staff are proud to support.
Well, we like to boost the local scene. We like to nurture local musicians, give them opportunities to really express themselves and come together in new configurations.
On the marathon's first day, visitors are already soaking it up.
Oh, it's incredible. I had to stop. Her voice is like an instrument. The acoustics of this place are just incredible.
And although the Mona crew's keeping details close to their chest, new installations and restaurants are expected to open soon. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
He's spent the past few years touring the world with Katy Perry and Taylor Swift, and most recently he performed for 6 months on Broadway. But now Tasmanian-born dancer Lockhart Brownlee is back home, teaching the state's next up-and-coming performers.
Fresh from the US, Lockhart Brownlee is imparting his skills on the next generation.
I come home for Christmas every year, but this time I've come home a little earlier and for a longer time because I wanted to walk around Tasmania and teach at some of the dance studios around Tasmania, and also I'm getting the chance to work with the show club.
Brownlee is choreographing a routine for the show, which will be performed in Launceston mid-next year. Being home is a big change from what the 27-year-old's US life is like. He's made a name for himself dancing around the world with Katy Perry and Taylor Swift. And most recently, he spent 6 months of this year living in New York, performing on Broadway.
Did my Broadway debut in Wicked the musical, which was amazing. I mean, obviously as like a young kid growing up in the dance world here in Tassie, small island, as a dancer, Broadway and New York were like some of the biggest dreams that I could possibly have thought of and dreamt.
Brownlee has no immediate plans to perform again on Broadway. Once he leaves Tassie, he'll be heading back to LA, where he'll be doing more teaching. He also has another dance project on the cards.
Possibly another tour happening that might be turned into a TV show. So stay tuned, keep your eyes peeled out, maybe a reality show or a reality TV star in there as well.
His advice to any young dancers out there is to never stop dreaming.
I always had these crazy and wild dreams of, you know, making it behind a pop star like Britney or Janet or Justin. I always had these big dreams and I kept these dreams going, I kept these dreams pushing forward. You just got to go for it. Whereas just because we're a small island doesn't mean you have the, you know, the lack of support or the lack of talent. Like, we have a lot of talented people in Tassie.
Brownlee will host an open class at Janina's dance workshop in Hobart tomorrow night. Monica Dadson at Southern Cross News.
Now look at business and finance with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The share market has turned around a negative start to the day to close slightly higher as miners, energy producers and several consumer-related stocks gained ground. The ASX 200 index has risen by 3.8 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 76.6 US cents and 110.07 New Zealand cents.
A two-time premiership coach is throwing his support behind the TSL after the competition was blindsided by Devonport's shock withdrawal. Zane Littlejohn says the state needs a strong top-tier league to prevent players and coaches from being overlooked on the national stage. After claiming back-to-back premierships with North Launceston, Zane Littlejohn joined the Lions' pride, spending the past 12 months mentoring Brisbane's draftees, many of them from outside Queensland.
I feel like if I ever went back to coach my own side again, that I'd be better for it for sure.
But he holds some concern about the TSL's future after Devonport pulled the pin last week, joining the Western Storm and South Launceston in the TSL graveyard.
We need it in Tassie, although it's probably not supported like the people like people want it to be or has been previously, and we compare it to how it was maybe back in the 90s when they used to get thousands to games.
He says a return to regional competitions would leave football worse off. He claims players and coaches are reaching a higher standard now than they would without a statewide league.
I think it's good for our young people to strive to play at the highest level, and they need to have that ambition to do that.
Littlejohn says running an 8-team competition makes life hard for administrators, especially with only one team in the northwest. Luckily for Littlejohn, he got to witness his old club take out another TSL flag, only this time from the grandstand.
It's actually nice to sit back and watch the game because you're so heavily, when you're coaching, you're so heavily involved in the game, you don't get to see it as much. I was in regular contact with the players all year and still am now. They're close and they'll always be lifelong friends to me.
Richard Dickel has been turfed as head coach of the Launceston Tornadoes, despite leading the team to this year's Siebel South Conference final. Instead, American Derek Washington Jr. is taking the reins, becoming the club's fourth coach in 12 months. He was introduced from the US on Skype.
I call it a KISS. It's a keep it simple strategy system.
Derek Washington Jr. comes to the Tawns from the Dallas Wings in the WNBA.
He's worked with a number of senior Australian basketball players in different programs.
He's the latest in a long line of Tornadoes coaches. Reece Potter quit at the start of the year, then Ben Rush was booted 4 games in. Now Richard Dickel is done and dusted. Although the club wouldn't confirm he applied for the role, there were indications he wanted to stay on.
Yeah, I'd love to come back, but that's a decision that
will happen in due course.
All conversations, you know, in our club and around our club are done with the greatest respect.
Washington Junior arrives in the state early next year. The Hobart Hurricanes have unveiled their squad ahead of their BBL season opener. 6 players are on debut for the club, including Matthew Wade and Nathan Reardon. Skipper George Bailey would not reveal if he's staying at number 4 in the batting order.
Most successful T20 teams, I think, have pretty simple plans and they just do it really well.
The Canes host the Renegades at Blunston Arena tomorrow night. And Amanda Beams wants to carve her name into history when the country's first female woodchopping titles take place at this year's Christmas carnivals.
You're in for a real treat if you come along to watch us.
More than $20,000 in prize money is on offer at the Launceston Carnival. Cyclist Lauren Perry hopes to claim her first title in the wheel.
I've been the bridesmaid a few times in the Launceston wheel. It's been something I've wanted to do for a long time, especially in front of the home crowd.
The Launceston Carnival takes place on December 28.
Good evening. Hobart, Launceston and Devonport 22 today. Burnie reached a high of 21 with temperatures near average. The state's high 27 at Friendly Beaches. 24 today at St Helens and Fingal, Campania 22, Wynyard 21, Bushy Park as well. 19 at Lowhead, Grove, Strawn and on King Island. 15 today at Lyawini. Speckled low cloud moved over Tasmania from the west, trailing behind yesterday's cold front, which you can see there well off to the east. Large band of high cloud can be seen extending from the Northern Territory through the eastern states and down south of New Zealand, and there's some thunderstorm activity over tropical areas as well. Closer in, we can see that cloud moving in from the west, mainly covering the west and far south of the state. Tomorrow, a high over coastal South Australia, ridges over the south of the mainland, and a cold front sits well to the south and west of Tasmania. There are some low-level troughs along the coast of WA and through Queensland. Northwest to westerly winds at 15 to 25 knots, reaching 30 knots at times over the west and south tomorrow. Swells to 4 metres. Strong wind warning for waters between Tasman Island and Sandy Cape and from Cape Portland to St Helens Point. Small craft wind alert for the lakes. Bit of wind about tomorrow, partly cloudy for Hobart and 22, a possible shower for Cygnet. New Norfolk, a possible shower to 21 degrees. Launceston partly cloudy, 22 the top, 20 for Devonport, partly cloudy 24 for Campbelltown after a coolish evening. Burnie cloudy and 21, maybe a shower or two for Strawn and Smithton, 19 and 20 degrees, while for St Helens and Swansea and Fingal, mostly sunny, temperatures in the mid-20s. And the UV, 11 across the state, that's an extreme rating. On Friday, showers over the west and far south, fine for the rest of the state. A shower or two creeping across Tasmania on Saturday, and those showers contracting to the west, south and northeast during Sunday. And on Christmas Day, cloudy over the south and west, maybe a shower for Strawn, Hobart 20 degrees, fine and sunny over the north and east, Launceston expecting 23 now. Sunny weather for Perth, Adelaide and Melbourne tomorrow. A shower for Sydney, 32 in Brisbane and fine, a possible shower or storm for Darwin. Little cloud about but fine, 17 in Hobart, 18 in Launceston, 17 in Devonport, and that's the way it is, Rach.
Wonderful. Thanks for that, Peter. Well, that's all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.